Well, we have a new collection from our friends at Ciao. It's called Book Lovers. We have 2 pieces. The Book Lovers 8x8 papers. I'll show you what's inside. And then the Book Lovers Creative Pad, which is just filled with cutouts, just lots and lots. And this is one of the projects that I'm going to show you. Doesn't she look pretty? A book is a dream you hold in your hands. And then when you open this, we've got lots of art going on. Okay, won't you please come play with us? Okay, first I want to go into the Ciao 8x8 paper pad. So I'm going to scoot this over. Now there are 12 double-sided sheets and they are all different. So nothing is duplicated. A tip, you can use the art that's here, by the way, and there's more on the back side. In fact, it's kind of almost hard to figure out what you want to use. Okay, this one, cat's on the bookcase, and there's the back, very pretty. And then there's some larger. These are just a little bit smaller than 4 inches each. I guess we should get in a little bit closer just so you can really see, okay? And then on the back side, an all over pattern. In this set, they put in a specialty paper. And so, of course, I had to use it, but this is what it looks like. It is embossed, and it's very nice, so that's great. This is what I used on the card that I showed you. And on the back side, we have lots of clocks. This is another cutout, so just all over. And on the back side, you've got plainer cards, plainer cutouts, so. And then, isn't that beautiful? I didn't use it, but it's absolutely gorgeous. And there's the back side. And then this one, very collagey, but you can certainly pick out what areas you want to use. And books on the back. We have letters and flowers. And then on the back, flowers there too. And isn't that pretty? And on the back. And this. Are you counting up to whatever number I said? And there's the back with words. And then there's a whole library with a bunch of kitties. And on the back, that one. Okay, so like I said, just one of each. Makes it a little tricky to want to figure out what you want to use because there's so many choices, but I'm not done. Okay, the Creative Pad. Now, this is an A4 size, so it's a generous 8.5 by 11. There are 9 sheets. Let me show you. Again, you can use the ones that are on the front, but on the back of that, you have more ideas. And this is just full of cutouts, absolutely full. And then there are all over patterns on the back, which comes in really handy. And there you go. Isn't that pretty? And these are larger ones, which was kind of fun. I did use those. And I didn't use this, but it will make kind of an envelope. So that's pretty. Just lots of art, lots of stuff to choose from. And that. We've got more, and as you can see, you know, when I tell you 9 pages, that doesn't sound like a big number, but look at all you get. Wow, a lot of stuff. Okay, so we're going to get started, and here is the first card, and there you go. Now, of course, we're going to get in closer. And this is on a slimline card. This is the Hunky Dory, which are 4 by 8.5, I believe. And this comes in 10 cards and envelopes together in the package. And this is the card you see. That's why it's called a tent, because it's going to stand up like so. So what I did is I took the first sheet out of this package. And you can see what I did. You know, how could you not do that? It's just darling. And I simply glued this to the front of the card, turned it over, trimmed it to fit. And then I took another look at it and I thought, well, we need some words. So I went into all of that art and there was some area that says, a woman cannot live on books alone. Can we get in closer, Jeanette? Yeah, very close, even closer. And I thought that's so perfect right there. So I foam taped it. Oh, I didn't tell you, so sorry. I did use Velvet Fawn and my blending brush just to give kind of a shadow on the edge all the way around that card. I just think when you have these kind of vintage looking things, it just adds an element of dimension to it. So anyway, I've got a woman cannot survive on books alone. And then here, she also needs a cat. Now, don't you think that's just quite perfect? That too has been foam taped. And when you're cutting these things out, if you have a white edge or you just really want to cover that up, that velvet fawn is going to work nicely. Now, I did, to add just a splash of color or more color, I did go into our oval border dazzles. They've been so incredibly popular. And I used the brown set, which seemed quite appropriate with this look. And I put, this is the medium ones. There's a small, medium, and large. I don't know if you've noticed that, but can you see that that's small and there's a medium and a large? And then there's also pieces between them. So that's what I did, is that we've got the medium one just inside the edge of the card, and I just did the whole length. And then I put that piece that's between the ovals, I put that next to it just to add a little bit more shine. Now, it's not too in your face, but it does add a bit of texture. And then just a single strand down at the bottom, and did let it overlap the edges of the other one. So that is my card front. Super easy, but I don't think it looks super easy, and that's nice. Now on the inside, okay. Now, so this is the paper that I used on the front. So I used the back side of it and simply covered the inside with that sheet, and that worked very nicely, I think. And then I went in, and then I also did the velvet fawn around the edge. And I also did, this is the small border, and the small border down here, and then this is that middle piece that goes down the whole length of it. Then I went into these images. Now this is Inspire, this is a cutout, and Happiness is a cutout. Now I wanted to make those edges a little darker also. So I used khaki. Velvet fawn and khaki are just kind of my two go-tos, and went around the edges of the three. So these two are glued in place. And in the directions, which are down below, I did give you how far this one is from the fold and how far this one is from the bottom of the card. And then this little guy is foam taped, kind of spanning both of them. And I felt that that worked really nicely. So I have A Woman Cannot Survive on Books Alone. She also needs a cat, To Inspire, and Happiness all together. So that worked nicely, and you just may have someone that you can send this to, okay? Okay, that's the first card and the simplest card. In fact, I don't try to make them too involved. I really just try to do what the title of this series is Paulette's Paper Play. I want to play with the paper. I want to make it tell a story, and I want to use it in the most effective way I can. So number one. Now we're going to go to this one. Okay. Now this is using that specialty paper, and I looked at this sheet. Now these are the ones that are not quite 4 inches square because they have a border, but I thought they were gorgeous. And I looked at this one and decided to cut it out. And I cut it right next to the little pattern border that it has. So I cut that out and I matted it onto this embossed paper. Well, actually what I did is I cut all of these out and I matted all of them just to be ready to be used. So I don't know if I recommend that, because then you limit your choices, but that's what I chose to do. So, okay, here is that piece. Now, this is my 5 by 6.5 inch card. I did place it with the fold at the top. And I noticed that in doing this, I wanted to leave room for having something over here. So I didn't put it smack dab in the middle. I also remembered that when I have white in here, I really want part of the white card to show. In this case, I really glued this over to the left to allow more of the white space to show. Okay, then I did this double treatment on the border, and hopefully you can see that. I used the glitter straight line dazzles, and what that does, that is translucent. So it has the glitter embedded in the sticker, but you will see whatever's behind it. In this case, you see white. So I did that all around the edges. And actually, I let it set for overnight because I thought it was okay, but I wasn't really thrilled with it. And then I went back and added a second border, and this is the gold thin line. This is glitter straight line, gold thin line. And look at what it did. It just made it better. So I've not done that before, but I recommend it. Also, as I place those, I overlap the edges. So that's just a nice treatment too. Okay, now one thing I was thinking about, and I wanted to share with you, I was thinking about, do I need to ink the edges? And I thought, well, what would I use? And I pulled this out. This is Earth Red out of our Hunky Dory Prism ink pads. And I thought that should work, but I always want to try it as a test. So I pressed it down and I thought, well, that's getting not quite as maroon as I wanted it. And then I went with my blender brush and went on the edge and I thought, wow, that's really red. So it's not going to work in this case, but before you get your ink on something and you can't take it off, you might want to do it on a separate piece. So that's what I did. Now I did find this cutout, and it was just a shape, but I trimmed right next to it, and then I did the inking with Velvet Fawn and tucked it underneath this piece. So the other thing I did is I cut that little butterfly out, that wing, so that I could shape that a little bit if I wanted to. I didn't end up doing that. I could put foam tape under that. In fact, I might do that before I send it off. I did want to have a little something more, but I didn't want it to overpower the color of these. So I elected to use our silver pearl butterflies. Now, there are 3 sizes on this package, and there's a gazillion. Now, this is silver, and it's edged in gold foil. What that did is it allowed it to show up, and it matched my edging. So I thought that was nice. It gave something more. It's kind of like the edging. It gave something more without distracting from what's going on in the art. And I did have to make sure that I could see it's the little things that make life big. I thought that was really a nice statement. Okay, so that's the front of my card. On the inside, okay, I went back. Remember I told you I had already matted all of those. And this is the one with the books and a butterfly. And I did mat it on the same embossed as I told you. This one, my matting is a little bit wider. See, there it's just about 1/8 of an inch, a little bit more at the bottom. Here it's about 1/4 of an inch all the way around. Now, I've got the edging, my borders, dazzles all the way around. This on the inside, I just went on the right and the bottom. Exact same process, the glitter and then the thin line. And then I cut this out and foam taped it on top so that it is next to this. So this all kind of reads as one element, and that worked nicely. So the way it goes is the little things that make life big between the pages of a book is a lovely place to be. And I would highly agree with that. Okay, card number 2. Card number 3. Now this is the one that I showed you when we started, okay? And this one is only using the creative pad. So it is, although there are elements that are the same, so this is using this. And I'm going to start with her. She's beautiful. I mean, that's just with that arch window, absolutely gorgeous. I elected to keep it on my straight card, not doing any shaping, 5 by 6.5 inches. I did color the edges with what? Velvet Fawn, of course. Did you say that? I hope so. And simply glued it in place. And then, actually, I want to tell you something. I don't put the dazzles on when I'm first creating. I first will take whatever my focal is, get that placed, do the inking, and get it placed. Then I think about what else is going to go on. And at the very end, I'm sitting there looking at my card, and it's okay, but it's a little plain. That's when I add the dazzles. That's consistently, that's what I end up doing. And it works out really, really nicely for me. So what I used here, because I wanted to be in the browns, it worked so well on that first card with the cats that I elected to go into the thin line. Now this is the primary collection. So you're going to get green, blue, red, brown, yellow, and black. Nice collection. But I went with the brown. We don't have a maroon in Dazzles because of that product that the Dazzles are made of doesn't come in maroon. So the brown was certainly a good second choice. And the brown, I elected to do, well, of course, the thin line, they're all small, and it just added something again without detracting. So that was important. So that's around here. This is foam taped. It is over the edge of the paper here because I think that's just more interesting. I also really wanted to not cover up that middle of the window just so that you could see it's a window, you could see that door latch. Of course, I didn't want it to get too close to her head, just wanted it to be an aside. So, okay, now you saw what I did on the inside at the opening, but let me show you again. There is so much art in each of these packages, and together it's just wonderful. So I wanted to have a way to show all of those. Those of you who make junk journals or do mini albums, you are set. You are absolutely set. Scrapbookers, get some tan paper, and you've just got so many pieces to do. Okay, so what I did is I took an idea from our Debbie, and I used our panoramic card cutting dies. Well, I only used actually one of the dies. I used this one, and I cut it out twice. And let's see, I think I have pieces in here that I can share with you. Okay, so let's see, I guess I'll hold that right there, stay. And okay, here are two cutout pieces. So one of them is going to be placed like this. You're going to use extra sticky tape, put it on here, and then have that attached to the back of your second piece. Okay, so then you've got this. You've got a cut edge here. Then you're going to take this flap and cut it off. Okay, so these two are connected together. And then they are simply going to get, eventually, not right now, but eventually, they are going to get glued into your card like that. Okay, got it? Now, in order to connect things to the back of these windows, you will need to cut out whatever you choose a little bit larger than this opening. Okay, don't cut it out exactly because it's going to be tricky to glue it. So cut out a little bit larger, and that will work perfectly. Okay, so obviously what I did, I thought book lover was just a great way to begin, and I thought this was really lovely. So I mean, I just went through, and when you're going through, actually, I'm not sure if I can find any, but think about what is in there. I mean, you don't have to use the whole thing, for instance. If I were doing something horizontally, maybe I would use that. Let's see, you could use, maybe not that sheet. Okay, let me go here. Okay, that would be pretty. So you really kind of play with it and see, oh, isn't that lovely? In fact, that's what I used. Okay, right there. So that's what I used. This is actually just a perfect example. So I really went through some of the things and just played, just did exactly what I'm doing right now. So I'm not going to talk to you about that yet. And there's the book lover right there. So that worked nicely. And so I just went through, and it was just super, super easy to do. I could have used this. That would have been fine. In fact, many of these would be fine. What happens in a book club stays in a book club. I thought about that, but I kind of had a little more serious thought for this. So anyway, that's exactly what I did as I just went through these and played with this piece. So that's what I would recommend you do. Playing with it is just perfect. Okay, now let me keep this sorted. So I found my 4 and I glued them to the back. Oh, by the way, this piece is on the back of one of these sheets in the Creative Pad. It's this one. And because it is an A4, you've got plenty of room. So that's nice. So I just want to point that out. Okay, so I glued my elements behind them. Then I glued these 2 pieces inside my card. And then I wanted to add more. So again, there's just so much that you can choose from. So I chose, once you learn to read, you will be forever free. I inked the edges with velvet and glued it there. This is The World Belongs to Those Who Read, again with velvet fawn. So I've got an upper and a lower. And then I didn't put anything on this because it already had Imagine. This one I said, words are most inexhaustible source of magic. And then the butterfly was actually part of it. So when you're looking through the art, kind of look at the pieces that are in the art. So that is nice. Then I wanted to have a little pizzazz, okay? So I used, this is the, actually what, I did use the brown thin line that I used on the front, but I felt it needed a little bit more punch on the inside. So I added the gold thin line, which is a separate piece. And you can see I put a brown on the edge of every section. And then I put a gold on the inside of the brown on every section, except the first one where I put 2 gold. Okay, it's kind of a bookend. So my bookends are a little bit fancier than my inside pages. And I thought that just did a nice job. And I had plenty of room. I didn't do anything with the card. I just felt that this was fine. There is white in the art, so I thought that coordinated nicely, although you could put a coordinating paper if you wanted to. So that is my 3rd card. I love it. Okay, now I did something different with this last card. And because there's so much art, have I said that 14 times now? I really wanted to use it. I want to take advantage of it, and I wanted to show it. So I took, and I'm not sure where I got this paper. Well, obviously I got it from the set, but I'm not sure which. Okay, talk among yourselves. Let me see where I got it. Okay. Yes, okay, here it is. It's out of the Creative Pad. So it's this side, which I hated to cut up, but too bad. I used this because it's green, and I wanted a different color from the other cards I've done. And I thought, what better way to show a lot of things on the outside of my card than to use this cutting die. It's called Windows and Frames. And I'm just going to use this part. I'm just going to use the windows. I'm not going to use the frames. I could have, but I elected not to. And that's what's nice about cutting dies, is that you can do what you want. And I appreciate that in a product. So this is the cutting die, and it will fit perfectly on my 5 by 6.5 inch card. You can cut it apart. You can do whatever you want. I elected to take this and I simply die cut it. Okay, and then I elected to turn it so that my smaller pieces, my smaller frames, smaller windows, I guess, were toward the fold of the card. So I didn't glue anything down at this point. I just die cut it. Okay, then I am going to ink the areas with khaki, and I did that because I didn't do the frames. I just did the windows because I wanted to use the space differently, but I wanted to have these framed. So the ink became my frames on all 5 of them, and that worked. Then once again, I went in and looked at the cutting die, looked at all the cutouts, and chose the 5 that I wanted. Being careful to look within the art. So remember, there's just a lot of art, so you can use it. And so I glued them behind the frames, behind the windows, and then I glued the whole piece to the card front, okay? But then as I was looking at it again, it looked a little plain. So I looked at my gold pearl fancy border dazzles, and I just thought this gold against that green was a really nice match. The other thing I did is I elected to put one down the middle, which I haven't done before. And when I put that one and that one, I had a little piece left, and I thought, well, that kind of fits right there within that art. And then with this area in the middle of the, let's see, yeah, I'll pull it up. Okay, there are these little diamonds that are left. So I put those diamonds between those and then between these two. And I was really pleased with it. However, I wasn't done. I remembered that we had this. This is a glimmer mist from Hunky Dory. So I put this on, well, because I still get a paper newspaper, I put it on my newspaper, and you could use scrap paper, and shake this up really, really well, and then hold this and spritz it. So I did that, let it dry. It dries very quickly. And I just love the different look that this has from the other cards. And you can see that gold. So that was really fun. Okay, now I'm going to open it up. So on the inside, okay, remember that sheet out of the Creative Pad that had those large graphics on it? And okay, here it is. There they are. They are all gorgeous, but I elected to go with the butterfly and the book lover. So I simply glued that down, you know, nothing tricky. The other thing I did, do you see the scallop edge on there? That was done with this piece, and I know I've shown this before, but you know, I'm really happy with my discovery, is that I cut that in half. So what I did is I left it attached to the sheet. I put it in my paper trimmer, lined it up, and cut it in half. I think this is very smart. And then I've got two pieces. I used two other pieces, top and bottom, and I sprayed this too. So it worked very nicely. Now, if you want to, you can certainly cover up this area if you don't want it to get sprayed. I didn't do that, but I did end up having the gold just really on my art. So that is my last card, and I hope you like it. Anytime you have a lot of art, and that's probably going to be on anything that Ciao Bella makes, this is a good idea because it allows you to use so many pieces. And you could duplicate this on the inside too and just get even more. So it's a fun show and tell, and it just makes a really nice presentation for someone who is a favorite in your life. Okay, so let me pull these back together and show you. We have the book lovers. This is the Creative Pad. This is the one that is A4 size. And we also have the book lover 8x8 paper pack with that special embossed paper, which I am quite surprised they haven't made more of because I thought it was really sort of wonderful. And but you know, I love paper, so that's going to work. I do have a money saver on these. It's over on the right-hand side of your screen. Feel free to take advantage of it, or if you are partial more to one than the other. It's a hard decision. I was happy that I had both of them to play with, and I've got lots of art left, so that will be fun too. If you happen to be, also down below, I've written out all the instructions, so just click on whatever card you want. You'll find the instructions. You can print them out if you would like. And if you are on YouTube, we would love it if you would head it on over to paperwishes.com. We have so many things for you, and we really do work hard to bring you products that you may not find everywhere, and that's our goal, is to be a wonderful surprise for your creativity, and then to give you ideas on how to use it, and then you can go with that and do whatever you want. Okay. Anyway, if you're a YouTuber, come on over, take advantage of what we have for you. And I do want to thank you, especially all of you who are watching this, for being part of our Paper Wishes family. You're actually why we are able to do this, and we love having you and sharing with you. Okay, well, thank you. And Lene will be here tomorrow. Bye-bye.